Hi, my name is Andy Mallet and this is Glimmer DSL for SWT tutorial number 6. So today we're going to go through Hello Label, which actually builds on top of some of the previous samples that we went through, like the Hello tab, as well as a few other samples that had a custom shell in them. So let's first start by launching the sample. There it is. So as you can see, there are a number of tabs that include different styles of labels. So the first one is left aligned. The next one is center aligned. After that, right aligned. And then next we have image labels. And then after that, background image labels, meaning a background image with text in front of it. And next, horizontal separator label. So you can use labels to separate different widgets with a horizontal separator, as well as you can use a label as a vertical separator. So let's look into the code. So if you were to dig into tab 1, the left align tab, you can see that we have sort of an iterator going from 1 to 3, 1 up to 3, and including a label and text per number. And each label has an SWT style of left, and SWT styles in Glimmer DSL for SWT are simply symbols, Ruby symbols. So if I were to launch this again, you can see they're all left aligned. So then if I were to close it and go down to the next one, center aligned, the only difference is that the SWT style here is a center symbol. In fact, if I go to the third tab, the only difference is that it's a right symbol, a right SWT style. So again, if I were to launch it, you can see here it's left, the label is left aligned. Here it's center aligned, and here it's right aligned. And what that means is basically the label is actually taking the entire horizontal space that it has, but the text is basically right aligned in this case. And basically it's conforming to whatever SWT style we're passing it. So let's go next into the fourth tab, and this one has an iterator that's going through Denmark, Finland, and Norway. And then as you can see, the label does not have text. Instead, it has an image, and it's basically the path of an image that matches the name of one of those countries and ending with PNG. So this is a valid path. You can assume that the image exists. So if I were to launch it, it ends up loading the image for those countries, Denmark, Finland, and Norway. And then if we were to go to background images combine both image and text. However, you don't use image, you use background image to indicate that you want the image to show up behind the text. And then here's the text, and the text is simply the name of the country capitalized. So if I were to launch it, you can see background images and then text in front of them. Next, let's go to the horizontal separator. So the first label is just a text label, but then the next label is a horizontal separator, and it's spanning 2 columns horizontally. And then after that, there's a label that says field 2. It's also a text label. So if I were to launch it and click on the 5th tab or 6th or whatever, it's the 6th. So yeah, you can see there's a field 1 and then a horizontal separator that's spanning 2 columns, meaning it's taking up the space that was used by the label and the text field. And then there's another label that says field 2 and then another text field. Finally, the last tab is simply a vertical separator. So you got a label with text in it, and then you got a label that vertically spans 3 rows. And then there's a label with field 2 and a label with field 3. So if I were to launch it and look at it, you can see field 1, field 2, field 3. They're all in the first column. And then there's this label that spans 3 rows, which is the vertical separator. And then there are 3 text fields. So that concludes the example of Hello Label. One thing I do want to note is that this label is using two SWT styles, separator and vertical. In the original SWT library, they usually require you to use bit ORing on constants that represent separator and vertical, which are they give you basically sort of like integers that you have to bit OR to get the final value. Thankfully, in Glimmer DSL for SWT, you don't have to deal with any of that. Simply pass in multiple comma separated symbols, and they automatically get bit ORed for you and get passed into SWT correctly. So that's being done here, and it's being done to this one as well, the label separator horizontal. So that concludes Hello Label. If you want to learn more about the project, check out the GitHub repository for Glimmer DSL for SWT.